U.S. officials tell us this morning that the toothpaste bomb warning is tied to information learned during an array of counter-terror operations in Europe and elsewhere this week and this past month, and that, in fact, the right explosive concealed in just 3 or 4 toothpaste tubes could bring down a passenger jet. The urgent alert is meant primarily for the international airlines that are flying into Sochi, with athletes and spectators heading to the Olympics. Russia had already banned all liquids and gels, including toothpaste, in carry-on luggage on domestic flights into Sochi.
I think you're going to see a tightening of the screening procedures on these types of items that could contain explosive devices that could either be used to blow up an airplane going into Russia or be smuggled into the Sochi area for the Olympics.
Bomb experts say just a few tubes of toothpaste could contain as much explosive power as the amount seen in these demonstration tests of the so-called shoe bombs and underwear bombs built by Al-Qaeda.
A small amount of certain explosives can in fact have grave damage and can do grave damage on an aircraft.
And while the initial warning is connected to the Olympics, U.S. officials say the TSA may soon announce additional security precautions at American airports out of an abundance of caution. But authorities say the threat to Sochi is very real. The chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee, Congressman Michael McCall, told us the information on the toothpaste bomb in terms of Sochi is specific and credible.
So that's planes coming in. Is there any moment at the Olympics themselves that they're most worried about?
We're told by security experts the real concern is not today or tomorrow, but perhaps 48 hours or 72 hours in, when security might be lessened.
Any type of explosive, concealed explosive, can be extremely damaging. It could, it could be enough to bring a plane down.
Airlines with direct flights to Russia on alert this morning. The Department of Homeland Security issuing another terror bulletin, warning about the possibility that explosive materials could be concealed in toothpaste or cosmetic tubes on flights headed to the Olympic Games in Sochi. The possible devices intended either to be detonated on the flights themselves or smuggled into the Olympic Village. Former presidential candidate Mitt Romney, who organised the 2002 Winter Olympics, discussed this threat with CNN's Wolf Blitzer.
A real grave concern to hear a report of this nature, and you basically want to know more. Are we going to put in place immediately restrictions on any kind of tubes or any kind of cosmetics going in flights towards Russia? But as individuals, as airlines, people are concerned given the specificity of the nature of this threat, and the fact that there's almost nothing they can do to prevent something of this nature from perhaps being put onto an aircraft.
Despite security concerns, the Obama administration has not advised Americans to avoid the Games. Secretary of State John Kerry telling CNN's Jake Tapper before the toothpaste alert was issued.
Well, I believe that anybody who wants to go to the Olympics, which are just a great event, should go. We feel that everything has been done that can be done to try to guarantee people's safety and security.
This latest threat coming as athletes continue to arrive in Sochi. One German snowboarder at his first Olympics just landed.
I'm really surprised because we just touched down and just saw all the soldiers next to the runway. That was wow.
Athletes now head into the ring of steel behind dogs, cameras on balloons, warships and anti-aircraft batteries. Precautions taken to protect participants in what experts say may be the most dangerous Olympic Games in history.
May be the most dangerous Olympic Games in history.
Now, there is reason to have some confidence in Russian security services. They first experienced problems with liquids on airplanes back in 2004 when 2 planes were blown out of the sky simultaneously by female suicide bombers, perhaps carrying explosives in their makeup. There's a long history of putting measures in to try and stop that, and as we said, they've banned liquids in their carry-on baggage. But hopefully this noise we're hearing at the moment about the lack of cooperation between the US and Russia maybe ebbs, and in fact they focus on the job of trying to stop anything bad happening in the 24 hours ahead. When the ceremony starts here, that's when the Games begin in earnest, and then for the 2 weeks in which they last.
A new Olympic terror threat, toothpaste tube bombs. A warning on the eve of the opening ceremonies for all airlines flying to Russia.
Marianne Rafferty Rafferty is here now with what the grim threat means for Americans heading to Sochi. Marianne?
Well, good morning, Heather and Ainsley. With opening ceremonies just hours away, the Department of Homeland Security is putting airlines across the globe on notice. Terrorists could smuggle bomb-making materials inside toothpaste tubes. Officials are issuing the warning out of an abundance of caution, though no specific threat was made. Former presidential nominee Mitt Romney, who ran the 2002 Salt Lake City Games, calling the threat grave.
Obviously, these are a real concern, grave concern, and have to be considered thoroughly. I do believe the games will be safe, particularly in the hardened areas where there are very substantial security personnel. But without question, this Olympics is under a level of threat we haven't seen for some time.
Now, Russian aviation authorities are now banning all liquids, saying no amount can be carried on board an airplane anywhere in the country. The threat of terrorism at the Games is very real after a pair of suicide bombings in Volgograd in December. Terrorists calling on militants to do anything they can to disrupt the Games. The Russian government has maintained a ring of steel around Sochi with tens of thousands of security officers, but athletes and spectators are being warned not to wear big team logos or stray too far outside of town. The opening ceremonies will kick off tomorrow, but some early competitions are getting underway in Sochi today. Heather, Ainsley?
Thank you. Marianne Rafferty live for us this morning. Appreciate it.